Genie grind, I wish I'm getting rich, huh? Remember when I said I hit a lick, huh? I don't really wanna fuck the bitch, what? Willie when I made another hit, okay, like Prada on my motherfucking kid, huh? Louis on my motherfucking hip, huh? Curry how I dunk, no switch, hey, fuck you gonna fuck that bitch, hey, if you ain't gon' fuck with me, you a dumb fuck, put up a hit above for that one punch, look at my bank and I'm getting dumb rich, and I'm gonna count it up till 100,
Deku stopped in the middle of his tracks, unable to move from the sheer pain and excruciating details on his skin start to show. Scars that he had never made. Scars that were just made in an instant, just from Stain licking his blood. He knows Stain has evolved. Stain used to be just a small-time criminal, able to maybe stun people for a little while with his lick of their blood. But this is so much more deadly. What could have? However, he has no time to think, as his life is about to come to an end. As Stain's katana reflects in the sunlight, as the last spot of the sunlight eclipses on the sunrise of the end. As Deku stares into the tipped blade, the katana of his death, something he cannot stop for the first time ever, something he could not dodge, something he would never be able to stop, his own death. As such, our lives will never, ever transcend that. Death is something we always have to face. And as Deku stares into death's eyes, it stares back at him. A voice. No. As Midnight stands in front of him, she catches the blade inside of her hand, using her nails to stop it as they come to a screeching halt, silencing both Deku and Stain. Stain says, "What the fuck?" As then a cloud starts to roll in. A cloud of gas. As Stain hops back, doing multiple backflips, gains some distance from Midnight. Deku puts on his Deku's gas mask starts to leak in air as Momo comes out from the ground using a drill that he had taught her how to make. She starts repairing his gas mask as Midnight goes out to take care of Stain. Ida had crashed from all of the energy drinks, she says. He won't be in for a little while. Please, let me handle this. For once, let me handle it. I don't want to see you get hurt. Ever. Don't you dare goddamn die on me. Okay? Go. Midnight. Slay him. I won't just slay him, honey. I'll destroy him. As she turns around, wielding the rest of the mist, her new suit starts to activate that Ida had brought with him. A metal gas mask starts to comes out from the sides of her neck as they launch up into her cheeks and then spread out to her mouth. It also includes a voice changer, changing her voice to a little bit more of robotic. However, it completely nullifies all effects of her mist, allowing her to basically just walk straight through it with no repercussions. As she surrounds herself with the mist, and she makes the mist a little bit thicker, making it much harder for Stain to find Deku. However, Stain, using his memory, jumps straight towards where Deku once was, as then Midnight kicks him in the stomach with her high heels, which pokes a hole straight into his stomach, stabbing him. As Deku jumps backwards with her high heels stuck into his chest, as he tries to take it off, it releases poison gas inside of his bloodstream, slowing Stain down. He says, "The hell is this woman? That's lady to you. What the?" As Midnight comes in swinging with her right foot that also still has a high heel on it, as Stain is starting to figure out how exactly to deal with her, as her many gadgets that she had put on in just that short of a time that Deku and Stain were fighting is incredible. The battle rages on as Midnight constantly is putting Stain into check using different techniques that she had learned using her clouds, as she and Deku had a little bit of Midnight sparring, as Deku constantly talked through strategy after strategy. However, Stain was constantly getting shots off on Midnight, whether it was scarring her on her side or was trying to her getting her gadget stuck, as she had never gotten proper training in using them. She was but a beginner in gadgets. As such, she had one of her high heels thrown right at her, which cuts straight deep into her left arm. She says, "Oh fuck," as then Stain can hear her say that. "I was waiting." She's like, "Oh no," as then Stain smashes the ground, stopping Midnight from being able to run around. As Stain is fumbling around by this point, trying to keep himself awake, Midnight kind of hobbles away, holding onto her arm. As then Stain hunts her down throughout the city. She's unable to release any more spore clouds. As then Stain finally corners her inside of a wrecked building. "Come here, little pretty." "Finally, there you are. You caused me quite the..." As half of his face falls asleep, he's barely able to keep himself awake, as then she comes at him by trying to stab him with her high heel. However, he reflects it with his sword and then slashes down, cutting straight and deep into her left arm. As he comes up and gets ready for an execution throw, Ida suddenly comes out of nowhere. "Revenge!" As then, kicks Stain in the back, shooting him straight into the wall as he cracks one of his ribs against it. "Alright, fuck this!" As Stain stabs his katana into the ground. Ida readied up another kick to his face, however, it is currently stopped. He can't move. Stain had released all of his rage. Every single part of his bloodlust had been unleashed. He had enough of this shit, this back and forth. It's time to finish this. As he releases all of his bloodlust in the air around him, in that sort of confined space, it stops both Midnight and Ida from moving. Stain gets back his stature, picks up his katana. Deku walks in, hobbling with Todoroki on his shoulders. "I made it. What the hell was that feeling?" As then Stain looks straight at him. He says, "My first target. I'll finish the job." As Todoroki says, "No!" As he holds up his hand, literally firing fire at Stain. Stain throws his sword through the fire, aiming it straight towards Todoroki's hand, as it splits Todoroki's hand in two, as it goes all the way down to the basically the shoulder of Todoroki. Todoroki cannot even scream in pain, for he cannot even feel it. His whole entire arm being split in half. Who would even know? Todoroki just doesn't even look down. Deku lets go of Todoroki so that he may prepare himself for Stain's next attack. He can't think about Todoroki right now. He has to focus on Stain, as then... it's too bad. Looks like Todoroki's been missing out on his training. Who the hell was that? Was that me? As Midnight says, how is there two of you? As Midnight looks back, a man with a fiery arm to his left, and his other arm, completely there. It's almost like he was see-through at the same time. Was she imagining things? Was she imagining two of Deku? Impossible. As then, he takes up his arm and smashes it straight through Deku's gut, with his hand coming out the other side. It's him, as Deku is barely even able to look down as he sees the blood-covered hand grab onto his head and then try to start to crush his head. However, Kirishima comes up and slide tackles the newest Deku, as he says, I don't know who the hell this thing is, but I'm gonna beat it anyways, as he takes up two hands trying to smash down on this sort of phantom Deku, or this sort of thing. As he says, I already know your weaknesses, as Phantom Deku grabs onto Kirishima's arms and stops the gigantic pulse that came from the sheer power from it, and then punches and punches and punches Kirishima in the stomach. Kirishima is unable to stop these punches, as he just tries to harden his stomach. However, that's not enough, as then he's punched in the face. He hardens his face. However, then he grabs onto his arm and throws him straight into the wall, bashing his head against the wall as he's concussed. As you know, this Phantom Deku starts thrashing around Kirishima. Deku falls onto the ground, unable to move anymore. As Stain walks forward, he says, my partner's quite the eccentric one, isn't he? How is he me? And you're working with... Oh. I was wondering when you're gonna pass out from the blood loss. As Deku falls down onto the ground. Surely, death would come this time. And then he wakes up, not realizing that he's still alive, as Ida and Midnight had gotten their shit back together. For Deku's sake. They couldn't be defeated. Ida jumps off of Midnight's shoulders, kicking Stain out of the air onto the ground, as then Stain picks himself back up by rolling on the ground, and then rolling in front of Midnight, kicking her in the stomach, throwing her to the side, dislocating her right arm. She's unable to use her arms anymore. As she looks up and then winks to Deku, as he understands. He rolls and gets himself back up. No matter what, he has to get up. He has to. As the hole in his chest starts to widen as he tries to get up, Stain says, I admire your resistance, as he throws up a katana electrified by Deku's quirk, and hits Ida out of the air. Ida falling straight to the ground. Stain picks up his sword and throws it straight at Deku, as he says, I'm not gonna fall for anything anymore. No more surprises. As he throws his katana and it goes straight into Deku's left shoulder. Deku just simply looks up and smirks at him. Cocky son of a bitch. As then Stain goes in for an even bigger kill, as he picks up the katana he had hit Ida with, as then he starts just stabbing away at Deku, eviscerating his whole entire body. However, I'm sure you all know by this point what Deku was planning. Deku's hand was holding a flask. That flask had knockout juice in it. As Deku had in the fight, Stain didn't realize it, but Deku had thrown up the flask puffing smoke out into his face. As Stain was already really tired from the fight before. He's unable to even move as Midnight comes up behind him and headbutts him to the ground. She says, "How about that for a stab you finish for you, son of a bitch?" As then she falls down to the ground, almost incapacitated, as she falls straight headfirst right next to Deku. Deku returns back to his body, healing some of the wounds. However, the stab wound in his right arm would stay the same. He was unable to move. Neither was she. Both of their muscles atrophied. They just stood there. I mean, sat there, really. Laughing. So it comes to this. Letting the youngsters take care of it themselves. I guess so. As she scooches him forward, kissing him on the head just to, using all of that energy. All that energy just to kiss me on the head. You're always a mysterious one. Child, as the girl pops up out of his right arm. She says, "What? What is it, father?" "Oh, is mother all right?" As she sees her left arm. "Heal her." "No, you need to be healed." He says, "No, you take it. If she heals you, then no, it's better for you because if she's made out of lightning, she can supply you with it. No, it's better if she heals you so you can support the youngsters." As you know, they go back and forth about this as they're barely able to move anymore. They use their last remaining energy fighting about who should take the healing buff that the child support provides. However, Todoroki stands up, sort of still freaked out that his arm was split in half, as they both look into to each other's eyes and says, they just know what they're thinking. Alright, child, heal that man. He's more of a boy. I said heal him. Alright, don't be bossy with me. As she comes out of Deku's left arm and goes up to Todoroki, as Todoroki's freaked out and is like, "What the why is this 13-year-old on the ground? Like, what is happening?" As then she holds out her arms, she's just like, "Okay, but just don't whine, alright?" He's like, "What are you gonna do to me?" As then she holds out her arms onto his split in half right arm and heals it completely. As it all stitches back together, she also falls to her legs as she's unable to use much more energy. She says, "I hope you're thankful." Oh, shit. He says, "Oh my god, this power. What do I do now? Oh, all of them are dead. God damn it. We're not dead, you idiot. We just used all of our energy. And also stabbed many, many times." As Midnight's like nods her head slightly. He's like, "Go. Help them, Todoroki. You need to. Kirishima is currently being beaten down by me. Whoever me is, he's not our ally. Actually, he's the exact opposite. I think he's here to test you." "Test us? Just go, Todoroki. Don't talk back to your teacher." "You're not my teacher," whatever. As Todoroki floats off, using his fire to blast off and using his ice to make himself have no friction so that he can go faster. That's how his quirk works, right? I think it is, at least. Deku basically just waits there with Midnight, as he also senses another promising fighter coming to the fight. His other self is absolutely eviscerating the competition. Both Todoroki and Kirishima maybe stand a chance. Even then, Kirishima has been beaten and beaten into the ground, as Deku knows his weakness. Wherever you don't punch makes his skin not hard. So basically he went on to punching him in the back, you know, electrifying him because he's not like any better against electric. I mean fire, sorry. I mean fire. And you know, it just generally destroying Kirishima. But after Kirishima's done, Todoroki comes up, and he knows Todoroki has been skipping out on his training. As Todoroki's like, oh fuck. As then he's like, I just got my arm back, I don't want to lose it again. As then he hides inside of an ice shell, as Deku didn't, this reverse Deku does not explain. Is kind of confused. However, Todoroki hides even farther and farther and farther into the ground, creating an ice castle basically under it. However, he starts to hear noises from the top. Is he trying to rip it apart? No, this is something different. As then Deku's face, evil Deku's face emerges from the ice, as his left arm had changed into the ice. Apparently his arm could change elements. Whatever is used against him can be used against the person that's using it, if it's the element. As Deku rattles up his arm and hang glides Todoroki into the ice. Todoroki having the ice shatter behind him, forcing it all as he uses his flame and lights himself on fire so that it melts away Deku's left arm. However, Deku just reconstructs it again. He says, "You're weak. Too weak." As then Todoroki's like, holy fuck, somebody please. As then finally he's made it there. Deku and Midnight had sensed somebody coming towards the battlefield, somebody actually worthy of taking down this evil version of him, this version born from All Might's quirk. The combination between All Might's quirk and the traumatization that Deku had suffered, it was all manifested in this one being. And the only person that really knew that was Deku and Ojiro. Ojiro knew what this thing was. He had fought it before. He had known it ever since Todoroki's dad had died. Something was wrong. Something struck him. He had to find out. The dark secret. As Ojiro smashes through the ice, the whole entire ice castle exploding up. Deku, evil Deku, smashes his way through the ice castle and makes an icing rink out of the fallout from it. As Ojiro tries to stand up on his feet, however, falls down to the ground. He says, "God damn you villains, always so sketchy! Always with your tricks." As then this evil Deku smiles, saying, "You never learn to adapt. That's your problem." As Ojiro says, "Yeah, what if my quirk makes up for that?" As Ojiro rises his tail into the air, supposedly trying to block Deku's attack. However, suddenly his tail comes out from his fist, as then it smashes down onto the ground, crumpling the ice, allowing Ojiro onto the ground. As Deku dodges onto the ground, quickly regaining the speed that he had lost, as then he smashes it into Deku's stomach. Deku grabs onto his tail, being flung around as Ojiro smashes him across the ice. Over and over and over again, as Deku says, "Enough!" as then covers his tail with ice with just one touch. Ojiro flies across the room. Across the ice rink, now torn to pieces. He's going to have to thaw it off. As Todoroki comes out from the outside, from the fallout, he looks up to see Ojiro. As then, I think it was freaking Ida. Ida comes over. Ochako's there. Momo. Literally every single person else finally sees this. As Ojiro is now being beaten bloody into the ground. As Ojiro has no way of getting away from this. And as, you know, Momo stands forward, saying, if you aren't going to do this, if none of you are going to stand forward and help your friend, then I will. As then all of them start to walk forward until this evil Deku looks up to them saying, oh, you're finally learning. I respect it. However, I still have one lesson for every one of you. Lightning field. I'm still my old self. As he hugs himself, letting go of Ojiro, as Ojiro falls down to the ground with bloody sweat coming from the top of his forehead. Lightning field. As Deku, he hugs down into himself and hunkers, as then he collects his hand into the middle of his chest. A lightning bolt streaks down from the sky, not fast, slowly, as then it comes to his hand. And he transfers it into God. God lightning field, activate! As then a gigantic field of lightning shoots across the city, forcing out all of the students to the sidelines, and shoves them all into the Nomus that they were fighting before. This is personal. As he picks up Ojiro, he says, you know, you always had the most potential. As then he knees Ojiro in the stomach, wiping the air out of him. That's right, knocking the air out of him. Didn't anybody tell you to tuck? I'm sure I did. This isn't you, Deku. No, you're right, it isn't. I was the Deku that was born from the madness of losing Bakugo. And maybe a little bit of power sapped from All For One. That's about it. What are you even talking about? Nothing you would really know. As Deku picks up Ojiro by the hair, he looks him dead in the eyes. Ojiro, you skipped out on your training. I remember. What was it, the 20th? No way, you can't kill me because of that. Oh, touche, I can. You really believe that after all those who I've killed, all those who you know I have destroyed, that I wouldn't? You see, you're not going to survive a day without me. Once I'm gone, well, you'll become weak. You'll become hesitant. You'll stop training out of not having the fear of death. The fear of death makes you stronger. It makes us all stronger. So, Ojiro, do you have that fear? As then he says, Deku, this evil Deku unleashes all of his power in just one deadly stare. This black aura radiates from his left arm. This darkness that is not born from any person's ki. It is just his. It is only his. Ojiro says, why would I when I don't fear my enemy? What? And then Ojiro swipes down underneath Ojiro's legs. Ojiro swipes under Evil Deku's legs. Evil Deku immediately sends lightning between his hands, coursing throughout the ground, chasing after Ojiro as Ojiro constantly dodges around them. Ojiro picks up one of the rocks with his tail and then thwacks it straight at Evil Deku. As Evil Deku charges up a lightning bolt with his right arm and electrocutes it out of the air by throwing it with his right hand. However, Ojiro dashes immediately right behind Deku. Too slow. As Deku says, I don't think so. As then Ojiro's tail that was coming straight towards Deku's stomach was caught before it could hit his stomach. As Deku starts to elevate the tail into the air, and then throws Ojiro onto the ground, throwing him side to side to side to side, as Ojiro becomes so bloody that, you know, nobody would want to even see. The brutalization, the Hulk, you know, puny god is just happening right now. But to an average man, how could they stand by? As, you know, the electric dude is like, fuck this! As then he sticks his hands into the electric field. I powered a whole entire city for 10 seconds. You think this is anything? As then it starts to connect into electric dude. As he's like, come on! As then he disperses the lightning field, and he falls down to his knees, unable to do much more. As the electric, you know, field expands and then disperses, creating tingling feelings throughout all of the air. It was enough to power the whole entire state. No way. How did... As they look down to him and they say, no time. As they all dash in, they find a bloodied Ojiro. As then he says, oh, please, try as you might. All of you combined would never be able to be enough to fight me. However, Ojiro had one last ounce of energy. His tail, it acts on its own. Even Ojiro is completely, you know, just wiped out. His tail wraps around Deku's arm. What is this? The evolution! As Ojiro shoots past the limitations of his quirk. His tail starts to grow in a magnitude of size. Deku trying to use all the lightning energy that he can, punching and kicking, and all of his struggling is in vain as he gets caught and anchored down into the ground, as he's beaten senselessly by the gigantic tail. As then Deku electrifies the tail as much as he can, gathering every single ounce of lightning that he can. As the tail halts, however, tape starts to wrap around him. Balls start to collect around his body. He starts to be encompassed by quirks upon quirks upon quirks. Animals started pecking on his head. Acid started to seep through the balls and make them even stickier. Things crumpled. My plan. You're not going to survive without me. What are you doing? As then, it's simple. As Ojiro finally, as Ojiro's tail talks to him, it grows a mouth and a face, and a person emerges from it. Maybe a horrific, you know, immobilization of a quirk. You know, a person, a being grown from the tail. It starts to create people. Something had been made of the tail. It was another person. It says, simple, will survive by being together. As he says, no! As then the tail rises up into the sky, creating collecting as much mass as it can, and then smashing down onto the evil Deku, immediately just knocking this evil Deku out. Deku unable to even move anymore. He is incapacitated, and the day is won. Deku goes home proud of what they have done. Each of them receive very, very much congratulations from a lot of the heroes that had been hurt or damaged by either Stain and, you know, the evil version of Deku. Deku repents every single day to his students to forgive him for his weakness, as they all explain that they all felt the same about Bakugo's death. It was rage beyond imaginable. It was something that they all shared, something that they all had to defeat together, not just one of them. And he lives happily ever after with Midnight by his side to watch over all of humanity. Thank you so much for watching. This has been one of my favorite series. I just feel proud. Yeah, just proud. It's a pretty good series. I just hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you guys somewhere, sometime. Goodbye.